Okay, we're back. And it's raining right now. I'm recording these in my car. And it's like the middle of the night and it's raining. So you're probably going to hear some rain. But whatever, it'll probably just add to the ambience of this video. Like, yeah, I walked out to my rig and like I am just soaked. Thankfully I have my umbrella in here, so I'll just use that when I walk back out when I'm done. But anyways, we have JoJo to read. JoJo Part 1, Chapter 2, Dio Brando the Invader Part 1. Say that 3 times fast. But anyways, we are in the Joestar Mansion, and I believe this is the first time we have ever been in the Joestar Mansion, so this is really cool. Yeah, George is like, oh hey, good to meet you, Dio. You're gonna live here, and these are gonna be your servants. And the servants, I never really noticed before. They look really weird. Like I feel bad for saying that, but like, there's this short one who looks like he's built as if he's taller, but his legs are just shorter. Like everything else is a lot bigger than the legs. I don't know. I'm probably just being really mean to someone right now, so I'm gonna stop. But yeah, they're just kind of there. They look interesting, and yeah. So, we get this shot of like what is this? The Joestar foyer, whatever you rich people call it. It's one of those. We see like a shot of the grand staircase. We see Dio, Jonathan, George, and like this landing by the steps just looks really jank. Like, maybe if Jonathan wasn't blocking the way, we could see the other side, but it just looks really crooked. There's also this cool statue of the, what is it, the Joestar guardian deity? They explain that later. But yeah, that's cool. Something I'd like to mention is that Dio has a different tie now. In the last chapter, he had this weird bow tie looking thing. Now it looks like he's wearing a more traditional Windsor knot. So, you could say that's inconsistent, but you never know. I mean, Dio, he could have got blood on his old tie when he kicked Danny. And he could have been like, oh no, how could I, Dio, have gotten blood on my tie? I need to get a different tie that's not dirty, so I can impress people, so people will like me. But yeah, yes, it kind of, it looks like he might be wearing something different. What's Jonathan wearing? It looks like Jonathan's still wearing what he was in the last chapter. That's consistent, at least. Thank God for that. But yeah, Jonathan has to, like, forcefully accept Dio's fake apology, or like, no, okay, so George makes him forgive Dio, I guess, but like, Jonathan's like, oh, well, I wish you would apologize, though. I promise you I've read this, I swear. Okay, so George is like, come on, Dio, we're gonna go up to your room. And then Dio looks at the stone mask and he's like, oh, what's that? And then he notices Jonathan's about to grab his bag, and he has a problem with that. Because he can't be having kindness when he's out hating. So he grabs Jonathan's wrist and like hurts him, and somehow none of the servants hear this. George doesn't hear this. And he's just like, ow. And Dio's like, what do you think you're doing, huh? Don't touch my stuff. Like, get your dirty hands off my bag, you imbecile. And Jonathan's, oh, I'm gonna carry it. It's like, no, your hands are covered in dog slobber. All of the servants do it. And then he, like, hits him again. And now is when he looks to see if anyone is paying attention. That's kind of stupid of him. But he's like, let's get this straight. Don't look down on me, okay? I am number one. No one ever looks down on the great Dio. And then he's like, one more thing, I hate dogs. They suck. They're terrible. And George, he finally realizes, oh, hey, Dio's kind of taking a while. So he's like, hey, what are you doing? Come on up. yes, sir. And it's like, how did he not notice any of that? That's just dumb. And yeah, the next scene, Jonathan has new drip. We got new Jonathan drip. Looks like he's wearing overalls and it's like a hoodie, but it's like the hood got split in half. It looks really weird. Maybe it's some 19th century style. I don't know. But yeah, George is being a bad dad. He's like, wrong. You're wrong, JoJo. You're wrong. You made the same mistake 6 times. Dio got 20 out of 20 correct, and it shows this shot of George's head, and it's like disembodied. It looks really weird. It's like someone cut his head off. And then we get the classic dining room scene where Jonathan has poor manners, and George is like, JoJo, you call yourself a gentleman? Your manners are boorish. It's like, I wonder where he could have gotten those manners. I wonder who could have taught him to eat that way. It wasn't his mom. His mom's dead. You're the only one raising him. Like, he's just not taking any accountability for his parenting. And he's getting mad at Jonathan for it. It sucks. Like, why does George have to suck? And then to make it worse, he's like, hey, clear JoJo's plate. That's enough dinner for you tonight. You're gonna go to bed without food. You're gonna like it. Yeah, Jonathan runs to his room. He's also wearing like a plaid thing. Like a plaid-looking flannel suit. Pretty cool. He runs to his bed, and we got another manga-only scene. And he's like, oh, I'm so lonely. I'm gonna die here on my bed, and no one's gonna mourn me. Would anyone even let out a sigh? And then he looks up at his headboard. There's like a portrait of his mom on his headboard. And he thinks about his mom for a second. Then he realizes there's chocolate on his nightstand. And he gets to eat chocolate, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit of a useless scene. I mean, it kind of shows that Jonathan misses his mom. And, like, with a dad like that, I really can't blame him. So we cut to the wrestling area. The wrestling. And there's a little blurb that says sports. 19th century sports. They were thought of a little differently back then. And then it talks about how this was around the time when people started getting serious about sports. Sports started getting more serious regulations and rules and such. And it talks about how these kids look to sports for what is it? For it says they were more than just games. They were religion to the people. These children on the field here are certainly no exception. The victor is seen as a hero. It's just kind of cool, given some historical context. I mean, like when I was younger, for example, we still played sports. That part didn't really change much. But I don't know how it is in the 2020s. Maybe that changed. Who knows? And then we got our next challenger, Jonathan Joestar, and our champion Mark Watkin. But then there's like a quiet everyone. It seems a new guy wants to play instead of Watkin, and he just moved here from London. And then it shows it's Dio Brando. In this scene, I know this isn't the manga's fault. I'm gonna talk about it anyways. This scene. In the anime, they did not animate this when it should have been animated. Like, the reason Dio's in this pose is because it is a static comic book. It is meant to convey the fact that Dio is tying the glove on his fist with the assistance of his mouth. But in the anime, it just shows this still, and it just shows him awkwardly sitting there with the thread in his mouth. And it's really stupid. But whatever. We're gonna get to the good part of this chapter. So they have to place a bet as per rules. Dio bets all of his allowance, like some big shot. And Jonathan's like, oh wow, okay. Well, if I bet all my allowance, I'm not gonna get any more from Dad, but neither will Dio. So sure, I'll do it. So they both bet all their allowance, and then the guy, the top hat, straw hat looking dude, in the striped shirt, he's like, oh well, if you get knocked down, it's a 10 count. You get punched in the face, it's a lose. And Dio's like, oh, so it's just like the slums of London. Okay, cool. And then they go at it. Jonathan swings, he misses, he swings a bunch, he misses more. If you didn't get it by now, the kid Jonathan kind of sucks at fighting. And Dio is, he's smart. He's, doing a 20th century swing defensive technique, as the script calls it. And he's like, oh, no, I can't hit him. And then Dio goes right for the stomach. Oh, Jonathan is just, ooh, that's gotta hurt. And yeah, we got a cool little panel of Dio. It's like he's shadowed out, except for like around his eyes. It looks cool. And then he's like, eat this, and he hits Jonathan square in the teeth. Looks like Jonathan's eating good. And then I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in part one, where Dio just has to be extra, and he pulls out his thumb and he's like, "I'm not done yet, JoJo." And he pushes his thumb into his eye, and like he pushes his arm and thumb through the eye to like propel him forward, and like how did Jonathan not need any medical attention after that? How was he able to just carry on? Like, his eye is bleeding, but no, he's fine. He's fine. It's magic. He hasn't learned it yet, but he used Hamen. He's fine. He's fine. And then another small manga-only scene. So the kids are like, "Oh wow, Dio, you're pretty cool, huh?" And Dio's like, by the way, I have these fireworks. And then he launches one of them. Then he's also like, it's easy to catch fish if you blow one up underwater. How about I show you how to make one? So, and then after that, he's like, don't tell JoJo, though, he can't keep a secret. Even though Dio isn't really keeping any secrets. Kind of stupid. But you know how manipulators are. They lie. They lie to get what they want. And I can see why the anime nixed the whole firework thing. It seemed kind of one-off, kind of pointless. But I think I can see what the point of that was. Like, show, oh, hey, Dio is a cool guy who can do cool stuff. Maybe these kids will like him if he can do cool stuff. And it looks like that kind of works. And then you see Dio thinking to himself, he's like, oh yeah, everyone wants to be friends with someone who can do stuff for them. So that's what I'm going to do to make JoJo's life miserable, because I hate him. Because he showed me nothing but kindness when he first met me. And then Jonathan's like, oh, why? Woe is me, my eye's bleeding. And that's the chapter. That was a chapter. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, the boxing scene, it's alright. It kind of shows, oh yeah, Dio really does mean business, but like, without like showing that Dio really does mean business, because like, we have not seen anywhere near the worst of him yet. Like, honestly, I realistically think Jonathan's left eye should have been blinded, especially considering 19th century medicine. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a historian. Maybe it would have been fine. Who knows? It's a fake story. None of this happened. I know that's really weird to think about, but none of this is real. Whatever. That's the chapter. And yeah. Yeah, that was, what's coming up next? It's like, I don't remember what's coming up next, but we're gonna get to it here in a moment.